And okay, and there you go.
So my name is Jimmy Pouchert, and I work for Apex Base. Well, we own Apex Base. Life can get very boring, I think, especially for people like us who are always looking for something new, for a new adventure. So we're constantly traveling, we're constantly looking for that next great thing. Yeah! Troy Widgery from GoFast called me, and he said, hey, I need a jumper who's 165 pounds to do this stunt. And I said, well, what's the stunt? And he told me the stunt. I'm like, okay, I'll lose the weight. Tell me, tell me what I need to do. Because he told me about the Human Slingshot. And I said, oh, that's obviously pretty much any base jumper wants to do that. So then I got Dukes on board.
For me, the slingshot came to be about, actually Jimmy invited me over. I was super stoked on it, and it's something I always wanted to do. It was a very unique experience. It's a real honor to have him ask me to do something like that, so I'm super proud and super stoked.
We've come up through the sport of base jumping together, and he's solid. I know that I can trust him to put it on the dime in the stadium and to keep a cool head, and to also do the rigging side of the stunt.
Because of my construction background, I was good with all the machinery and all the knowledge of how to use the cranes and stuff.
Both Dukes and I wanted to know the system intimately if we're going to put our lives on the line, which is exactly what we were doing.
So we basically built it from scratch, and then we had to do all the testing from scratch. It was very tricky because we were very controlled in what we could do, so it's a lot of trigonomics with the angle of attack and the way that things work with getting over the wires, and we had only a certain amount of space. And this thing takes a lot to set up, the Human Slingshot. It really takes space because we've got three big cranes, 200-ton cranes, and a franner with 27 tons of weight, and there's kilometers of rope. And I think we went through $10,000 worth of rope that weekend.
So we're in the sun. It's so hot. We're in Dubai, so it's very hot there anyway. And we're working. We're raising chains and raising weights and hauling sandbags and filling sandbags and getting everything. And Eric Straus, who invented this system from Da Vinci's drawings, he is over there doing calculus to figure out all the angles and everything. And we're just like, okay, wow, just tell us where to cut.
It was pretty intense because the ropes were fraying and breaking and things like that. And basically when the 27 tons of weight drops, that actually there's a bit of slack on the ropes, and they were bouncing into each other and jamming and actually crushing and severing the ropes.
So you're laying down and you need to get your head against the board, your back against the board, your butt against the board, your back, your knees, your feet, your heels, your hands, your fingers, everything, so that when that board releases, you're already against the board and you don't get smacked. If my head is an inch off that board, it's gonna just get like somebody's punching you in the back of the head as hard as they can.
But I call the sling bed the coffin, because you feel like you're just lying there, just going, waiting for it, you know. So I did anyway. I like to keep death pretty close to me. It keeps me alive.
So we're launching sandbags and loading the system and raising the system higher.
There came a time with the sandbag testing where eventually you had to have a human do the test, basically. It was sort of like a guinea pig. And that's where I came into it, because I understood the Dyneema rope from my Hollywood friends' background in stunt rigging. And I knew that a few frayed pieces weren't going to make a difference.
The end of the day, it's dark. We're moving the whole system over to the stadium the next morning. And the ropes had already frayed a bit, and I'm just like, I'm done. I'm ready to go have a beer. I'm done. Dukes is like, I'll go. I'm like, what?
So when it came time to do the human test, I was happy to do it, although scared, of course. But I knew that if we didn't do the test, the whole thing was going to get cancelled. When I realised how uncomfortable I was when I actually got launched, and it was super, super intense. The speed at which this thing went was undeniably the fastest experience of my life.
Holy fuck.
I think it was like 6-7 Gs, about 200 Ks an hour in a second, basically, and it was just full on. I've never had trouble processing information that quick since my first skydive, so it really was just like, holy crap, this is on.
Pull, fuck. Yeah!
I went into it and just didn't fight it, but just went to a beautiful slow front loop at the apex of it. and then started falling again. But doing that, I'm looking at all these massive buildings of Dubai and right on the beach.
And we can barely see him, and it's just, and he pulls and lands, and we were just, the amount of energy at that point was just so high.
Holy shit. Holy fucking Jesus Christ.
The most memorable moment was like, if you think of the Wile E. Coyote cartoons, where as he gets to the apex, he holds a sign up that says, "I help," and then he falls down. We actually got to experience that. It was such a unique experience that I'll never ever forget that first one. It was very painful with the shock loading of the coffin and stuff, so we worked through that for the next one. But you know, no pain, no gain, I guess.
So what are your hopes for tomorrow evening then?
That it works. So I can have a beer.
Okay man, good luck with that. Thanks for talking to us.
Sweet as.
Thanks.
Cool.
And then, you know, then we set up over the show with all the wires and stuff. And that's another ball game again. So Jimmy did his test jump.
So to get on the system, you get on the high lift and you get taken over to this system, which is already tension. So there's a 50,000 pound weight sled that's raised 6 feet in the air. And then the whole system's brought to tension, so it's ready to go. So the only thing holding it is the snap shackle. Eric, the engineer, pulls and he releases you. So you're on the thing and you have no control. So you're just along for the ride, basically. You're the rock in the slingshot. So you're climbing onto this thing from the lift and you're 6 feet in the air, and you know that this thing is tension to go 0 to 200 in 1 second. So you're climbing on that thing, you're terrified. If you're not on the thing correctly, it'll tear your head off. It'll be lucky if you survive it, you probably won't. And then I hold my breath and I cinch down, dude, like the jet fighter, they clinch down to keep the blood in your brain. It's not quite the same because they're vertical and we're horizontal, which is intentional. So the blood goes backwards, not straight towards your feet. If the blood goes towards your feet, like if you're vertical, the blood goes out of your brain and you pass out. So we stay conscious, but for me, I didn't know. So I was like, and ready and pressed against the board, and then wham! In 1 second, you've traveled 200 feet and you're through the heads of the crane and you're out, and then it becomes just amazing. Once you're through the heads of the crane, now there's nothing for you to hit, you're away from the board, then you can finally relax a little bit, although you're still super pumped up. But then you hit the apex of the arc, which is, we figured about 350, maybe 400 feet.
It goes.
And then you're weightless. And that's the reward for all of the work, for all the stress, for all the punches that you hit, when you get hit with that board. It's that moment of weightlessness. You're all of a sudden, like in 3 seconds or less, and then all of a sudden you get that roller coaster top of the hill sensation that you only get at a 0G apogee, where all of a sudden everything becomes weightless and you get, whoa!
And then I did my test jump and didn't go to plan.
So if you look at Dukes' second jump, when they release it, that board kicks sideways and he's up against the webbing and he's like, I'm gonna die. He said it was so scary. And to us, it looked like he just went up and did a bunch of flips and that's what he wanted to do. And so Dukes gets flung sideways. If his arm would have gotten caught in the webbing there, it'd been torn off. I mean, without a doubt. So he lands, he does this perfect landing, lands perfect, he comes off, and I'm like, yeah, Dukes, and he's just like, whoa, and I'm like, what, and he's like, you didn't see it? And we're like, no, we didn't see anything, it looked perfect. And he's like, man, and he explained to us what happened.
But it worked out well, and obviously when things go heavy, you stay calm, and that set us up basically for the show.
Okay, so everybody, if you can count really loud with him so I can hear you. Yell it out. Okay, boys, here we go. Hey, girl. Yeah, boy. Yep, feeling good. Yep. Yeah.
stadium full of a couple thousand people, and everybody just went nuts. I mean, you can imagine what it looks like to see a human being launched 400 feet into the air, and then it's like, wow, that person's dead, and then they pull a parachute and they land. I mean, it's, as a spectator, it's just amazing. So we've now refined the system. It's even better, it's even safer.
It worked perfectly. We had it down perfect by the end. So yeah, the Human Slingshot for me was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It was the most craziest thing I've ever done to date, and I do a lot of crazy things. The feeling of getting thrown through the air at that speed with that amount of G-force in that little time was something I'll never ever forget.
So now we're looking to actually take it into a stadium environment where, let's say, a concert's going on or some kind of truck rally, and then we can actually be launched into the stadium from outside the stadium.
Hopefully we can do it again, because I really would like to work with this more and see what we're capable of and see where we could do this. I think we could do this from the top of buildings and from the top of cliffs in wingsuits and go fly. So I'm looking forward to the future. We know it works. It does work.
And we've already got, a couple prospective, people who are saying, yes, we want to do this.
I think everyone should do this, but I think I should do it more.